your brain to see if you see any interest in joining social media. So I will speak briefly first about the sociological basis for social interactions online for some for surgery. Secondly, why, how, and what do I tweet or retweet? And thirdly, what's the return on investment of colorectal surgery? So first of all, you're aware of this. These platforms were launched in 2003. LinkedIn was in fact the first one. It's a symmetric social network. It means that you can only connect with people you allow them to follow you and you follow them. So it's symmetric. And it has probably 120 million users. Then Facebook. Everybody knows about Facebook. In fact, it was launched by Mark Zuckerberg in Harvard because it was very difficult for him to get connections with the opposite sex. He was not a surgeon. He was not a doctor. They are the successful people at Harvard. He was just a geek. So he came up with this platform in order to get dates. Then YouTube, which is rather successful, and Twitter. Twitter 2006 is not that far behind, 13 years. And now we have Telegram, WhatsApp, Instagram. Instagram is the next big thing, especially for younger generations. And it's about graphic literacy. You need to get good pictures and sell them online. And why do they work? Because like Harari tells us, our species is different from the rest of the species on Earth. We are capable of establishing large-scale, flexible cooperation. Basically, we lie. Something that is very difficult for the rest of the species. So chimpanzees collaborate flexibly, but not at a larger scale. They don't travel from Madrid to Pisa for a meeting. They cannot do that. It's very difficult for them. They don't tell stories to achieve that. While bees are very good at large-scale cooperation, but they are not flexible at all. Sometimes they decapitate the queen, but they will never establish a republic. We, our species, can do both things at the same time. And why? Because we communicate, because we tell stories, because we use the narrative to establish fantasies that help us collaborate flexibly at large scale. So the question is this innovation or business? And my answer is yes. It's innovation and it's business. And let me go into the details. Now we have a new currency. Now we have a new business model. Before, for baby boomers like me, production and funding were essential. For younger generations, it's about reputation and brand. The new business model is social capital. They are not so interested, millennials are not so interested in accumulating money. They are interested in accumulating social interactions. And what is social capital? It has been defined recently, social capital is interpersonal resources to survive and thrive. So my connection with Alexandro helped me come to Pisa, enjoy my stay here, and share what I know or what I don't know with you, and makes me feel better. This is critical for our species. It allows us to change situations, because if we connect, we can create a new reality to change the world, or at least part of it. And this is totally new at this large scale. And why is that? Because we have a clear limitation. Face-to-face interactions, we get the Dunbar's number. Dunbar's number is 150 people. So face-to-face, there's a point beyond which us, as a social group, cannot function effectively. Our brain is not designed to achieve that. But that can be overcome by using these new platforms. Using technology help us to go beyond 150 meaningful connections. And the ties are not as strong as they were before, when we have one-to-one interactions. Now the ties are simpler, more flexible. Quality matters, but also quantity, as we will see later. Multiplexity, the numerous things that we can do at the same time. If you think that you don't multitask, just reflect on how you drive a car in Rome. You are continuously multitasking. And there is symmetry. Most social networks are symmetric, except for Twitter, which makes it more powerful. What does it mean? That I don't need to friend someone, in order for them to see what I post. They have access to anything that I post. So that's extremely powerful because it increases virally the reach of your ideas and knowledge. So we have arrived at a digitalization of our social life. This is different, and it has changed over the last 10 years. This is so new. We are in the infancy of social networks. However, the distribution of ideas are extremely valuable. For example, this group at Boston University is known for their thoughtful analysis of communication. They explain, I didn't understand it in the beginning, but they explain how but it was not me, it was SoMe for surgery, became so popular because we bypass traditional media channels just by sharing meaningful ideas. And this is different from the all interactions surgeons had offline. So when I decided to start this, I wanted to focus, because focus helps us connect, on getting impact in the literature, research, profession, and society. Those four objectives, those were the targets of our activities. And first, you need to build a network. You need to connect people to create a structure. How do you connect people? Finding focus. So we as surgeons are all interested in the same topics, the same themes. Once you have the network built, then you throw ideas in. And you may like it or not, but ideas are infectious. Knowledge and ideas are an infectious disease. So if you have a well-connected network, ideas flow within the network and spread out. Then you have to motivate your followers. And what do we like the most as human beings? Being liked. It brings pleasure with it. So whenever we see a like, we get this thing that is close to something you already know, that promotes our further tweeting, because we want to get more likes, because we love to be liked by others. We are a social being. Our brain works like that. You cannot get rid of it. Oh, there are a small number of disruptive people or different. You can go to Dr. House, they don't like being liked, but those are a minority. Most of you enjoy being liked a lot. And then you need to get metrics in order to measure whether you impact or not. Literature, research, society, and that's what we did. And you can see here in this video, I hope it works, how Sew Me for Surgery started and behaved. You see how it grows? We were a connected network. Then we launched ideas and they moved around, creating this new network. And this is just about surgery. This is not wine or food or any drug. It's surgery. See how it grows. So surgeons in 5 continents are connected because we use Sew Me for Surgery, as Alessandro did in his slides. So how we do create, there are different structures. What is Sew Me for Surgery? It is a broadcast network where sharing is more important than engaging. That's how it works. And we look for mentions and replies. We interact that way. And there are clusters, as you can see in the graph. There are different clusters. And they are connected even within the clusters. This is interesting when you try to start new research projects or to disseminate a masterclass like this on social media. One frequent question is, how many followers do I have to get in order to amplify my impact? Well, as many as possible. On social media, quantity matters. If you get over 1,000 followers, there's evidence that you can impact not only other healthcare professionals or surgeons, you can have impact on policymakers and mass media. And that changes the game. Once you go beyond that limit, then your impact goes viral. And that's extremely useful when you want to promote your ideas, your research, your group. So there is evidence to show how the distribution of different groups, stakeholders within your followers behave, and whether you want to have enrich, or okay, I just want to communicate with my group, or I want to go for outreach. I want to have impact beyond my my group, my department, my university. So outreach, if you want to achieve that, you have to go over 1,000 followers. How do you get more than 1,000 followers? It's very easy. You connect with people. You speak with them. You share things with them. So there are many things going on in coloproctology on Twitter. We have the hashtag colorectal surgery, colorectal research, London CRS 18. There will be a 19. This is Manish Chand's event, and we have Sew Me for Surgery. But now we have spin-offs. We have Sew Me for Precision, OpenSourceResearch, Sew Me for Peritoneum, and many more. Because people want to be linked, but at the same time, they want to develop their own communities. And as a network creator, my role is to keep them connected so they can learn from each other. Because the more diversity, the better for the network. So this is an example of the colorectal surgery network. There are people here like Francesco Pata, or Neil Smart is over here also. And you see how people connect, how ideas and knowledge flow within the network. This is just a small group within the network. And you see that Steve Wexner, Richard Brady, and myself are in the center of the network. Is it important? Yes. If you have a viral infection, you don't want to be central. That would be high risk. You would get an infection no matter what. If this was a network explaining an infection, you would like to be on the edges. But for information, it's just the opposite, because you want to know more, you want to channel information within the network, so centrality is key. And also transitivity. The size of the arrows is also important because it describes the amount of information flowing between nodes. So it's good to be central, and it's good to have very wide arrows. And it's also important for the network, for the colorectal surgery network, the number of nodes, the number of connections, the diversity. The more diverse, the better. The density of the information that is exchanged, and that's represented by arrows, and the freedom within the network to make information flow among different nodes. All those features allow to process, like a computer, a much bigger amount of information. And then you have to be contagious. How are you contagious? You share knowledge, you share ideas. And these are three examples by Scott Steele, Dean Lutrin, and Connor Delaney. They post quick cases. And people debate. They're open cases. People debate, and while debating, they learn. And they see problems and solutions from many different perspectives. So we are very good at getting tacit knowledge. We read papers. Explicit knowledge, sorry. We read papers. But the higher value is in tacit knowledge. What we don't really publish, what we share like here in this masterclass, things that are not on paper, but we know because we've been doing this for many years, and we know how we do it and why we do it. And you can make it clear here. And it doesn't matter whether you are at the Cleveland Clinic or in Brisbane. You can have direct access to this in real time or 2 days later, because you follow the hashtag, you look for the hashtag, and you have access to all the tweets that were posted using that hashtag. Or polls. Here we have one by Gaetano about the treatment of 4th-degree hemorrhoidal disease in people share their knowledge, their ideas. Or I have that one in February about the use of NSAIDs. Do you use them or not? So you get a lot of information from many different people. Those opinions that are not expressed here. The majority of you wouldn't stand up and say what you think in front of a panel. But you would tweet what you think, what you believe, what you know, and then we can learn. It's much powerful than just 3 of us speaking here. The more, the better. And now there's a different thing here, which is very interesting, is the absent presence. I was not at ASCO, but I can share what the people I follow share online, so I amplify the message. And I amplify the knowledge. It's what is called absent presence. You don't have to be physically there to be there and to interact. This is also very powerful. Or we are writing papers collectively, 33 active contributors from all over the world, led by Ala El-Usuna from Denmark. And people start a Google Doc and start writing a review paper. with the key opinion leaders in this field. That never happened before. What's the feedback, apart from likes? Well, if you shared your research on social media, you get more citations. It has been recently published in colorectal disease. So by being social, you get social capital. Trust is critical. Transparency is critical. If people trust you and you are transparent, you will be more successful than just keeping your paper for you. And for example, see the metrics, colorectal surgery. 2 months, the total audience of our tweets, 1.2 million people. Where? All over the world. Of course, in Western Europe, we are particularly active. But you get from Canada or Alaska to Australia, even China, which is difficult, or South Africa. South Africa is also very active. See, did you see what we get just by sharing, by exposing ourselves to some extent to others? Of course, there are risks. For example, echo chambers. We just do things for ourselves, and this is a small group just speaking to each other. Well, if you go over 1,000 followers, the echo chamber is broken. And of course, there are fake news, but there will be fake news whether you join Twitter or not. Don't worry, it's not personal. Our species behaves like that. So we need to be involved because we need to create our own narrative. We have to tell the story ourselves. If we are not on Twitter, people won't stop discrediting us if something happens. So, crisis, reputation crisis, is not a justification for not joining Twitter. In addition to that, the behavior of the spreading of misinformation help us to understand whether one piece of news is fake news or is scientific. There are different patterns. Machines can easily identify how ideas or knowledge behave, and they can tell the difference between something that is fake from something that is valid. Of course, at a personal level, it may be a little bit difficult, but there will be resources to get rid of noise and get into meaningful conversations. Now we come to impact. What's impact? And we need to redefine impact, and we need to get our patients involved to define what's impactful for them, what outcomes matter. And we need to change the way we have behaved for centuries. Now they decide what is relevant or not, as part of the deal also, not just ourselves. And just to end my presentation, was the return on investment. What did I get in return for being so active on social media? First, papers, impactful papers. Colorectal disease, BGS, European Journal of Surgical Oncology, you name it. People are interested in knowing more about this. We don't know what the future is going to be, but we need to be part of it. We need to write our own future. Secondly, for academic promotion, it's useful, and now there are debates going on about how to use social media for academic promotion. Is going to be important. We don't know how, when, but we need to write the story here. Of course, we have social capital, and we have Alessandro here. Connections, trust, meaning, focus. And this is an example. People come here because you trust the group. And this can happen also online, but at a very large scale. This is a fantastic group, but this is small compared to thousands of surgeons online. And of course, influence. In the last Digestive Diseases Week, I was the second more influential gastroenterologist in San Diego, which is weird. I'm not American, and that's not the usual thing. However, now they cannot avoid that someone coming from Europe becomes as influential as a North American. So these are my recommendations to amass social capital for surgeons. First, you need to find focus and meaning, create a vision, and share it online. That's a must. Second, you have to invite followers to contribute on equal footing. There are no hierarchies like before. There is no boss or resident. They have the same right to speak and to ask questions. Third, give followers tools to implement the shared vision. Of course, one must learn to manage conflicts online, as they are offline. Feedback is critical. We must provide our followers with feedback. And then help followers become influencers in their own right. So these are the take-home messages. Finally, I know there are critics out there. You can calculate your K-index. Neil started something like this recently. This is a fake index that relates citations with followers. I'm a Kardashian. I have a good H-index, but I have more followers. I have over 27,000. So I'm a Kardashian. But remember, Kardashians will be with us for the next 50 years because this is the new generation we're dealing with. Thank you very much.